nosotros Tito Jackson, concejal de la ciudad de Boston. Esta va a ser una conversación bilingüe para tratar de hacerlo lo más expedita posible y que todos puedan entender. We are here with Tito Jackson, City Councilor at Large in the city of Boston. Tito, thank you very much for being in Panorama with me.
Thank you so much, and I'm a big guy, so Panorama is the only way that you can look at me.
Dice que gracias y que Panorama es la única manera de poderlo ver a él porque es una persona grande en tamaño. Let's start with your career as a city councilor. How did you get to the city councilor? You graduated in Brookline High School.
Yeah. Okay. So
as a resident of Brookline?
No, I was in the METCO program. So I was in a busing program, and so from kindergarten to 12th grade, I went to school in Brookline, and then I went to the University of New Hampshire. After that, I ended up in pharmaceutical sales, so that's actually why I know the East Boston Center.
Se graduó en el bachillerato en el High School de Brookline en el sistema METCO, que no es que era residente de Brookline, sino que tienen un sistema de educación en el Massachusetts donde personas de bajos ingresos, pero con resultados académicos importantes, son atraídos en otras zonas y por eso estudió en la escuela de Brookline, también en la Universidad de New Hampshire, y trabajó en el área farmacéutica. So after your pharmaceutical experience?
After my pharmaceutical experience, I met this guy named Deval Patrick who said he wanted to be governor. He had never run for anything else ever in his whole life, but he said he wanted to be governor, and I helped him. After he got elected, I decided to change my career and begin to work in government, and I worked doing economic development.
Después de trabajar en el área farmacéutica, Deval Patrick, cuando se decide Deval Patrick lanzarse por primera vez en la arena política como gobernador, él decide apoyarlo. Did you work for his campaign at the beginning?
I worked for his campaign. Well,
So you quit your pharmaceutical to help him?
No, I actually worked for his campaign while I was working in pharmaceuticals.
Okay. Volunteer. Como mientras trabajaba en la industria farmacéutica, trabajó como voluntario por Deval Patrick because you were inspired.
I was inspired. I was inspired because he made fixing the cities and people's lives and places like East Boston and where I'm from, Roxbury, a priority. And so I was inspired.
Fue inspirado cuando se lanzó Deval Patrick y se trabajó como voluntario. Después, so after he won the elections, you celebrated that victory. We celebrated that victory.
Yes, we did.
And what happened then? I mean, between your pharmaceutical industry and your career as a politician.
I put in a application to work in economic development. I got a job recruiting information technology companies to the state of Massachusetts. I work with Google, I work with Microsoft, I work with IBM.
But working in the government?
In the government.
Okay.
And then in 2009, I ran for city councilor at large, and I lost.
Okay.
And then Governor Patrick asked me to work on his re-election campaign. He won, and then after that, I ran for the District 7 seat, and then I won.
What year?
That was 2011, and that's when, sadly, Councilor Turner was asked to step down out of his seat.
Entonces, cuando decidió entrar en la carrera política, primero trabajó en el área de investigación de datos en tecnología en la gobernación o en una entidad de la gobernación de Massachusetts y tuvo la oportunidad de interactuar con compañías como Google y otras compañías como esa. Y luego se lanzó como candidato a concejal en el 2009, perdió, ayudó al gobernador Patrick en su campaña para reelección, ganó Patrick otra vez y luego se volvió a lanzar como concejal y ganó. Y ha seguido ganando. Since then, you have always won.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Economically, did you make more money when you were in the pharmaceutical than now?
I made much more money, and they gave me a free car. They gave me a free credit card and all the other good stuff. But this helps my soul much more.
Le acabo de preguntar si ganaba más dinero cuando trabajaba en la industria farmacéutica. Me confirmó que sí, que inclusive tenía beneficios. So how come many people in the political arena, because I won't say you are the only one, decides to put aside economic for your family or your personal income and goes into this unknown territory?
I believe that we all should serve the people at some point. I think, like Governor Patrick, who always said that this wasn't his career, it was a time of service. I think we all, in our lifetime, should step forward and serve our community. For me, I'm a kid who was adopted at 2 months old. So my whole life, and my parents only, they adopted me mostly because I was cute, but they adopted me out of the kindness of their heart.
Let me try. Le pregunté por qué toma esa decisión de ganar un buen dinero a servir a la comunidad por menos y poner de un lado los ingresos para su familia y su futuro y pensar más en la arena política. No solamente como él hace, sino como muchos políticos. Su respuesta, bien sentimental y emocional como lo pudieron ver, es porque él considera y cree en que todos debemos servir a la comunidad de alguna u otra manera y en algún momento de nuestras vidas. Él decidió hacerlo, como también lo hizo el gobernador Deval Patrick, quien dijo que esta carrera política no era su carrera original, pero que creía que había que servir a la comunidad. Y él también luego mencionó que él fue un niño adoptado, fue adoptado cuando tenía apenas 2 meses. Tell me the relationship between the question and your adoption.
Well, it's my perspective on the world. I'm not extraordinary in any way, I believe. I've just been given extraordinary opportunity. So I feel that it's important that I work in my lifetime to be able to give other people extraordinary opportunities.
Bien interesante lo que Tito Jackson acaba de explicar, cómo relaciona su adopción cuando tenía 2 meses como una oportunidad extraordinaria que tuvo en su vida. Entonces él cree que como él ha tenido una oportunidad extraordinaria en toda su vida, esas oportunidades también las deberían tener otros y por eso su capacidad y sus ganas de servir a los demás. Now let's go to the city council. As you can see, the representation of the Latino community is gone in that. Talking about Latino regions, Spanish-speaking people, and you, since you are in the city council in Boston, you have been very friendly with the community and people, approachable, let's say. So, what else can you do to fill that, let's say, empty space which is right now felt in the community?
Yeah. I think it is, first off, my Latino brothers and sisters are truly my brothers and sisters. The issues that are yours are the issues that are mine as a black person. And so what I will continue to do is what I always have done is connect with people in the community, stand up for immigrant issues, and not allow policies to go forward in our council that hurt immigrants.
Le pregunté al concejal Tito Jackson de qué podía hacer por la comunidad latina que ahora está tan poco representada o casi no representada en el Consejo Legislativo que sirve al alcalde de Boston, porque antes teníamos al menos a Félix Arroyo, pero ahora no hay ningún latino, tampoco hay ninguna persona que hable bien el español. Su respuesta es que él se siente conectado con sus hermanos y hermanas latinos por su origen afroamericano y además porque considera que lo que él hace por cualquier comunidad tiene que incluir a la comunidad latina. But now we never see city councilors that represent minorities in this area of town, because Boston is a big city, and I know you represent one territory.
Yeah.
But you are sitting on a big room, sometimes with the mayor, sometimes making very important decisions for the entire city.
Yeah.
What can we do to have people like you that at least know what how our heart works in this area of town?
Well, I would love to extend the opportunity to meet with members of the Latino community and leadership on a monthly basis. I would love to have that connection and relationship, because the relationship allows for people to then understand where people are coming from, understand issues, and understand things that come up on a regular basis. So I would love to have some type of Latino advisory council.
Le pregunté de que por qué, que aunque él representa un territorio, which is your territory?
Roxbury, Dorchester, South End, Fenway, and Mission Hill.
Ok, escucharon de su propia voz el territorio que él representa, pero también le dije que él está sentado en una sala donde se discuten leyes que nos afectan a todos y que muchas veces personas que representan a la comunidad no son vistas en territorios como por lo menos East Boston. Él quisiera tener una junta de asesores latinos. But let's go more precise. Yes.
Yeah, so let's get more precise. I'm also the chair of the Education Committee on the Boston
Yes.
City Council.
We're going to talk about that
Okay,
later. Yes,
Yep.
let's go back to the, because you mentioned immigration.
Yes.
Okay? We feel, I personally feel, and a lot of our audience that communicate with us, I mean, this TV station and El Planeta newspaper, it has a huge audience which is undocumented, a huge audience, because they don't find a voice in the political leaders. Their voice is us, the media. Maybe I'm not being that modest and that humble, but I have to take the opportunity when I am together with political leaders, because sometimes political leaders feel that if they get along with the owners of the media, and if they get along with some leaders of, that token is given, and especially with all generations. So that's why I think it's a great opportunity to have people with your generation and with your background to understand the challenge of not only the life, but the disconnection between political leadership and the immigration. And you mentioned that you are you're not an immigrant, so you really are not familiar 100% with all this look back. I would say that about 60% of all the residents of all these streets here in East Boston, Tito, don't have documents. And for that reason, some people think that we are ignorant, or we are lack of education, lack of money, and now it's a completely different ballpark than 10 years ago, right? So my question is, and how can you help for these people that have this concern and this disconnection with the political leadership?
A couple things. To me, and the reason why I use undocumented instead of illegal is because no human being can be illegal. People can maybe not have papers, but when we look at the economy of the city of Boston, those workers and those people that you're talking about, they are the backbone and they're the drivers of everything that's happening here. And so what I would simply say is, my family is actually the descendants of slaves. They're not the descendants and folks who were forced to come here. What I would simply say is that we, again, are brothers and sisters when it comes to the issues of wages. We are brothers and sisters when it comes to understanding that we have to deal with the violence and deal with issues of the police and the manner in which the police interact with folks in the Black community, but also in the undocumented community. These are commonalities that we have together. The other piece is simply that sometimes people in my business are rightfully so accused of not listening. It is a requirement that we really listen to the real issues that folks have, and so it's what I've done in the past. We've stood with 32BJ and workers in that space, but to your point around actual people, I am very open to in any way having even additional conversations about making that connection.
Let me see
I'm
if
sorry.
I get all
That's
the...
why you.
Bueno, le pregunté a Tito, primero le di mi opinión, donde la gran mayoría de nuestra audiencia no tiene documentos. Y una de las razones por la cual somos una voz para la comunidad de indocumentados. Y voy a hacer un paréntesis. El New York Times, de manera brillante, la semana pasada hizo un artículo sobre y ni siquiera mencionó la palabra indocumentados, dijo personas no autorizadas. Excelente la definición de New York Times, que ya va cambiando ya de ilegal a indocumentado y de indocumentados a personas no autorizadas, para que de esa manera presionar a que sean autorizadas, ¿verdad? Entonces, el concejal Tito Jackson dijo que él tampoco está de acuerdo con la terminología de ilegales, refiriéndose a las personas indocumentadas. Y también le dije que personas en esta comunidad que tenemos aquí atrás, más de la mitad son personas que no tienen documentos o personas no autorizadas, pero que hoy en día es muy distinto a hace 10 años atrás. Ahora tenemos dinero, tenemos educación, tenemos prosperidad y hasta tenemos otra generación nacida aquí en este país. Su posición es la de conocer más y sentirse identificado, tomando en cuenta de que sus ancestros fueron esclavos y de alguna manera tuvieron esa mala experiencia. I hope I translated everything you said, but
And I'll just lastly say, how we treat those folks who are undocumented is the real character of our city of Boston. If we don't do right by them, then that's a reflection on the character. And I want to continue to help, again, people, the people who may never come to City Hall, who may never access
they will
access
never
it.
go.
Yep. But there are people who will always have an open door because of money and power. Those are the people who will be fine. They will always be fine. My job is to help those folks who may never have a voice.
Have you ever thought about learning some Spanish?
Yes, I am actually doing a little online course right now. I would like to.
El concejal acaba de confirmar que está haciendo un curso online. Es el primer político que hemos invitado a nuestro programa que ha confesado y reconocido que está aprendiendo español. How, I mean, people from your generation, Tito, that has that opportunity. We had here sitting Joe Kennedy a couple of weeks ago, and he told me that only 10 congressmen, only 10 out of the entire Congress have had an experience of living abroad and understanding the immigrants' life abroad. Yeah. Only 2 Americans spoke good Spanish, like him. So what's the future is very dark if we are under that control. Well, so people like you have to be, we have to squeeze you.
You know, there's a lot of me to squeeze, but there's apathy is a two-way street. So a lot of people who are in public office say, well, people don't come out, they don't come to us or whatever. Well, you know what? It's not only their job to come out, it's our job as elected officials and as people who are public servants, and I think that word is critical, to go out to the people, because you can't serve the people if you don't know them and their issues.
Eso se nos está acabando el tiempo, entonces voy a dedicarle esta última parte de la entrevista al tema de la educación y ha sido un abanderado, Tito Jackson, de que aprendamos bien el inglés y de que el gobierno tiene que ocuparse de que las escuelas expliquen bien el inglés. I just said that you have been very outspoken about the lack of English good teaching in the Boston Public School, which is amazingly important in our community. We have, in El Planeta, we have even put numbers on that. We have said that if you learn good English, your income goes up from about $25,000 a year to about $45,000 immediately, right? But then you came in our help saying, but listen, we also have to improve our system, our educational system in English. So why don't you talk about that?
So the Department of Justice 2 weeks ago actually stepped forward and said that Boston Public Schools was in violation of taking care of the large number of English language learners. Understand, in Boston Public Schools, 45% of the students are Latino. The majority.
45% de la población de las escuelas de Boston son latinos.
So the Boston Public Schools has been derelict in their duties of taking care of not the minority of students, but the majority of students.
El sistema de escuelas de Boston ha fallado en atender lo que ya no es la minoría de las escuelas de Boston, sino la mayoría de las escuelas de Boston, que son esta minoría de latinos. Aunque parece enredado, es bien importante que lo entendamos. 45% de la población de estudiantes en las escuelas de Boston son latinos. Y el concejal Jackson quiere luchar para que el sistema de educación atienda bien a esta mayoría de estudiantes que necesitan aprender muy bien el inglés.
I will not rest until the Boston Public Schools does right by English language learners and also works to close the achievement gap, the gap between how Black and Latino students do versus their white and Asian counterparts.
Que él dice que no va a descansar hasta ver a que el sistema de escuelas logre mejorar pues, el sistema de educación en inglés. But I noticed, maybe I'm wrong, I noticed that you're alone in that.
So you're making me sad, man. I feel. Do I need a hug or something like that? He said I'm.
I'm not seeing the mayor.
I can't speak for others. I do know that Councilor Ayanna Pressley has had my back on this, and I know that several other councilors have had my back on it. My simple message is, regardless of whether I walk this path alone or not, this is the right thing to do. And it's not only the right thing to do for the young people, which it truly is, it's the right thing to do for the city of Boston. Let's look at the numbers. 45% of the students in the Boston Public Schools are Latino and 35% are Black. That's the majority, that's 80% of the students that we're leaving behind. We won't have this if we don't educate our future.
No vamos a tener el futuro y no vamos a poder preservar el futuro si no educamos al futuro. Esas son las palabras de Tito Jackson en esta entrevista que hemos tenido. Thank you so much, Tito Jackson, for being with us today in Panorama. Muchísimas gracias.
It is my pleasure. Your community in 2040 is the majority in the United States of America. I am happy to continue to connect with my brothers and sisters.
En el 2040 seremos la mayoría, según Tito Jackson, en este país. A very short question. Drive license for undocumented?
Yes.
What are you going to do for that?
I will support it at the state level.
What are you going to do to convince
I will have the conversations I've continued to have since I was in the Patrick administration with legislators as well as the governor on that. And I'll raise you one. I also support to have folks who have green cards, they should be able to vote in municipal elections.
El concejal dice que apoya las licencias para indocumentados y además considera que las personas que ya tienen su permiso de residencia permanente deberían tener derecho a votar. What grade would you give to Mayor Walsh so far?
I give him a B.
B. Minus?
I said a B. Why are you taking away from the brother's grade, man?
B plus or B minus?
He gets a B.
B. Governor Baker?
He gets a B.
Muchísimas gracias. Seguimos en Panorama. Llegamos al final de Panorama el día de hoy. Todas las semanas por este mismo canal, a esta misma hora, tenemos que darles las gracias al East Boston Neighborhood Health Center, en este bellísimo cuarto piso del edificio más bonito a la salida de la Maverick Station en la línea azul. Recuerde, ¿para qué llevar al abuelito o la abuelita a esos hospitales tan grandes si tenemos este bellísimo edificio donde usted se siente como en casa? El East Boston Neighborhood Health Center. Muchísimas gracias a Nixon, mi estilista que hace magia con el poco cabello que me queda en el 59 de la Meridian Street en East Boston en el Salón Platino. Copa Airline, una línea aérea que desde que entra en el avión usted ya se siente que está en su pueblo. Directo desde Logan Airport hasta Panamá y de Panamá a todos los destinos que usted se puede imaginar desde México hasta Argentina. Las tiendas Campeón, donde se respire y se vive el fútbol, el deporte que a todos nos apasiona. Y por supuesto el periódico El Planeta, el periódico favorito de los hispanos en el estado de Massachusetts. Uber, el sistema de transporte que ha revolucionado a la ciudad de Boston. Ya no decimos llámame un taxi, decimos llámame a un Uber. Y Leslie Ditrani, una abogada de migración que lo único que tiene como objetivo es unir a las familias aquí en los Estados Unidos. Muchísimas gracias a mi equipo de Panorama. Mari Carmen Pérez, asistente de producción. José Gabriel Cabrera, asistente en toda la logística. Y por supuesto, Raúl Castro, el único comandante que es amigo de todos. No fusila a nadie. Raúl Castro, director, productor, las cámaras, las luces, todo lo que usted ve en la edición, gracias a Mari Carmen y a Raúl Castro. Muchísimas gracias por haber estado conmigo. Nos vemos la próxima semana a esta misma hora por este mismo canal.